everyone, welcome to this breakdown special for the All Blacks announcement, the first of 2025. We're at Coastal Rugby Club in Taranaki. The big questions are who's in, who's out, and whose life is about to change forever.
What's a New Zealander without the dream of becoming an All Black? A shirt that tells 1,000 tales.
Announce his first All Black squad as the chairman of New Zealand Rugby. Well, I can't wait to see whether it's 33, it's 35, who is in, who is out. But you've seen our team, their moments, they got their opportunity to pull on the All Black jersey. James Parsons covering the forwards. Thanks. We're so grateful you're here. Justin Marshall, Mills Muliaina, JP. I'm going to ask you straight away, Jipper. It's special. The first All Black squad of the year, the first naming for maybe some debutants getting their chance to put on the jersey for the first time. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's the heightened excitement straight away, isn't it? You know, it's life-changing experience for some people today, hopefully, and also some guys returning after fighting their way back in. And this is the pinnacle of our game and looking forward to it.
Well, it's the intrigue as well, isn't it? Like, who are going to be, if there are any debutants, and that is special because it doesn't just affect them as a player because it changes their life in terms of the step that they've made, because every kid aspires to be an All Black, but it's their families and people around them as well. That's of interest to me. And just very quickly, secondly, the players that get picked, when you think about All Black rugby and the direction it needs to go, you start then thinking about, OK, how are they going to play this year? Yeah, and the incumbents, right? You know, and for some of them that weren't featured in the final sort of series, it would have been a nervous sort of waiting around to see if they were going to end up being paid, particularly those that probably had a sort of quiet sort of season. It's always kind of special then to actually wait and see if their name gets read out too.
And Jipper, we know how excited last year Scott Robertson was to get his first team together. Now it's the second season where his understanding of what's expected, he knows how challenging this year's is going to be. This is a pretty important squad that he gets to start with. Yeah, massively. And I think the one thing for him this year is, I suppose he doesn't have to have all that clutter of information and trying to get that detail of their game. He could go in a lot more relaxed, understanding that he can take this group to where they need to go. Yeah, look, I also feel that the debate, the interest to me is also around Super Rugby form. Yeah. You know, have players force their way in, or do they only not become an All Black when they're in the All Black environment and lose their form or not perform? You know, that's of interest to me as well. Like, where are they going to go in that terms of direction? And equally, yeah, this first squad is a squad that is a real benchmark as to go, righto, here's your opportunity. If you do a good job, then we don't have to look outside of what we're picking initially. And this is just the first squad of the year. Yeah. For the first 3 test matches, knowing the Rugby Championship is, and then an end-of-year tour. So for some guys, they might get 1 or 2 opportunities. Yeah, and that's it, and be able to take that. But also at the same time, it's a chance for Robinson to be able to get over that sort of period. So looking forward to it. Let's cross now back to the Coastal Rugby Club, where David Kirk, the chairman of New Zealand Rugby, is ready to announce the side.
Kia ora koutou katoa. I'm honoured to announce the 33-man All Black squad for the Lipovitan-D Series against France. The squad is Beauden Barrett, Blues, Taranaki. Jordie Barrett, Hurricanes, Taranaki. Scott Barrett, Crusaders, Taranaki. Caleb Clark, Blues, Auckland. Ethan de Groot, Highlanders, Southland. Samapeni Finau, Chiefs, Waikato. Fabian Holland, Highlanders, Otago. Noah Hotham, Crusaders, Tasman. Rico Ioane, Blues, Auckland. Luke Jacobson, Chiefs, Waikato. Will Jordan, Crusaders, Tasman. Duplessis Kidafi, Hurricanes, Wellington. Anton Leonard Brown, Chiefs, Waikato. Tyrell Lomax, Hurricanes, Tasman. Ruben Love, Hurricanes, Wellington. Brodie McAllister, Chiefs, Canterbury. Damien McKenzie, Chiefs, Waikato. Fletcher Newell, Crusaders, Canterbury. Ollie Norris, Chiefs, Waikato. Billy Proctor, Hurricanes, Wellington. Cortez Ratima, Chiefs, Waikato. Sevu Reese, Crusaders, Southland. Cameron Roygard, Hurricanes, Counties Manukau. Adi Savia, Moana Pacifica, Wellington. Wallace Sititi, Chiefs, North Harbour. Samisoni Tokiaho, Chiefs, Waikato. Timothy Tavatavanawai, Highlanders, Tasman. Cody Taylor, Crusaders, Canterbury. Pasi Leo Tosi, Hurricanes, Bay of Plenty. Patrick Tuipuloto, Blues, Auckland. Quinn Tupaia, Chiefs, Waikato. Tupo Vai, Chiefs, Taranaki. Tamati Williams, Crusaders, Canterbury. 2 players will also join the squad as injury cover for the beginning of the Lipovitan-D July Series. Christian Leowilli for Luke Jacobson and Emoni Narawa for Anton Leonard-Brown. A big congratulations to all the players selected today and to your families, who I know will be very proud.
And there it is, your first All Black squad of the year. 33 players plus 2 extra players for injury cover and a possible 5 debutants. And there they are, Brodie McAllister, Ollie Norris, Fabian Holland and Duplessis Karifi in the forwards. That is their opportunity, maybe in the French series, to get off the bench, I would say, or start in what will be a remarkable series for these players. A number of familiar names, as we know, the likes of your Cody Taylors, Ethan de Groot, Tyrell Lomax, and then the backline. And here, a couple of not so much surprises. The fact form has led to Noah Hotham remaining in the squad, but for Timothy Tavatavanawai, after an amazing season with the Highlanders, he has forced his way into the side, and you would have to congratulate Quinn Tupaia after a remarkable season for the Chiefs, making his way back into the squad. There were a number of players who weren't considered due to injuries, and we'll show you those now because they think this is important in regards to Asafa Amua, Ofa Tuangafasi, Sam Derry, Peter Lakai and Stephen Perafeta. Those were the names given to us that were unavailable for selection. There are those 2 replacement players, Christian Leowilli and Amoni Narawa for Luke Jacobson and Anton Leonard-Brown. All right, Marshy, your initial reaction when you've seen this squad, this team. We've debated it long and hard, probably for the last month. What do you think?
Well, I think they've answered a few questions and left there's some questions unanswered. It looks a little thin in the back 3. Initially, it would be my thoughts. The midfield's really cluttered, but again, it's where they're looking to play certain players, Rieko Ioane, Tavatavanawai. And then, I guess, up front, Jip, like some surprises to me in the front row. I wasn't sure Ethan de Groot was going to make it, Ollie Norris, and then Brodie McAllister as well. So that's probably my initial thoughts, and then the loose forward mix, which we will debate.
I think we'll go back now and we'll go to Laura because she's standing by with the 3 wise men, Scott Robertson, Scott Hansen and Jason Ryan.
Thank you very much. Yes, the 3 wise men you're being referred to now is by Jeff Wilson. But Razor, I'll start with you. Well, firstly, congratulations. How exciting, and a really exciting time for you. Your second go at this now. So how hard was it second time round picking your squad?
Yeah, it's always a challenge, you know, to pick the best players in the country. But I just want to start off with kia ora koutou. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for coming here. Beautiful place here at Coastal Rugby, you know, the fibre of New Zealand. Coming through club rugby, there's some great names that have come out of here, and it's great to be here in front of these young players, young boys and girls that love the game. So it's great to be here and announce such a special team to our country.
So when it does come time to picking the players, talk us through the squad and how hard or easy it's been for you in some positions more than others, perhaps.
Yeah, there's always a challenge. You know, you look through the whole season, you look for the reliability, the ability to keep turning up week after week, their skill sets under pressure, how they complement the group. You think about the whole 23, not just the starting 15, who's going to finish matches for you. And then there's always going to be someone that's going to be disappointed. That's the great thing about it. You know, we've got so much competition, so it's a hell of a team. Just congratulate those debutants, you know, for them and their families and who supported them to get here.
It's very, very exciting for them. So let's talk about the loose forwards, shall we? A slightly contentious area this season. So many players putting their hands up, making your job a bit more difficult, So how did you settle on that final combination?
A bit of balance. Some played their way in, you know, just performances. As we know, there's some great performances through the loose forwards across everything, but ability to play 6, 7 or 8, cover 6 and cover lock, and even our second row to cover loose forward as well. So we've gone for a 4-5 split, you know, 4 locks, and one of them will cover the loose forwards.
Jace, hello. Can we talk about some of the debutants, because there are a few in the forwards there for you. So what did you see in these young players during Super Rugby that convinced you that they're ready to wear the black jersey?
Yeah, well, firstly, it's an absolute privilege to be a part of selecting an All Black team, and something that means the world to all of us. There's 2 parts. I think one is, firstly, they've all earned it, and secondly, they've got great character. And when you think about selecting an All Black forward, you've got to have character when the contest is at its hottest. I believe Ollie Norris has showed some good progress in his season. He's been incredibly accurate both sides of the ball, and he's learning his craft really, really well. Brodie McAllister has earned the right. He's been a consistent performer right through Super Rugby, through the whole campaign. He was in around us last year and proved how good he is around his core roles. Fabian, we love him because he just loves the contest, and everywhere on the field he's in the contest, whether or not he's with the ball or without the ball, he's a competitor. Duplessis, I think it's a great story for Dupes. He's worked extremely hard. He's the ultimate story of what it takes to keep working and absolute desire to be an All Black. And he's worked well. I think he's got the balance right. He's learned a lot about himself leading Wellington and the Hurricanes, and it's brought the best out of him. And we know he's ready.
And so to Scotty, but to talk about when it comes to you as well, when it comes to the backs, you've got your debutants, Tavatavanawai making his debut, Quinta Paya back in the mix. I mean, there's so many things going on for you. What do you see, or what do you want to see from the slightly less experienced players during this French series?
The opportunity that the All Black jersey gives them, and that's to express themselves. They've earned the right to be there, now just be themselves. They'll come in, they'll contribute, they'll give great energy around our game. When you put the black jersey on, it'll take you to a special place, and we know that they'll wear it really well. Some fantastic stories around Timoci, and particularly around his journey through Tasman, Moana and the Highlanders, and the great job people have done around him, and he's earned his right to be here.
And is there a particular style of play you want to see? Because we're not far away from this French series starting. Are you going to be theming it? Is there something that we can be looking out for that French series?
Yes, something that Razor always does well around setting the task for us and the opportunity that we have in front of us. I think when you look at the French, the immediate focus is how quickly Scooter connects the group and the leadership group around what we want to do well. When we talk about rugby, we've got to aim up. We've got to aim up as a team. We've got to focus on our strengths, and we've got a fast, dynamic team, highly skilled, and we will be fiercely competitive.
Oh, things you love to hear. Okay. Well, gentlemen, Razor, Scotty and Jace, I want to thank you so much. Congratulations on your first All Black squad for 2025. We're all so thrilled for you. You've got our backing, of course you do. So congratulations. I'll let you guys take your seats.
Okay, thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks.
There's no doubt a few things, some themes there in and around consistency. Effort was clearly one for me, Marshy, the fact that they've got a standard they're expecting. And when they started talking about these young players, they mentioned opportunity. So that gives me the sense that they intend to play these players at some point in the next 3 Test matches.
Yeah, and another key word, you're right, was character. And so it's like Razor's been always very well, I guess, documented in the fact that he creates a culture within teams. And I just wonder whether or not they tapped into that enough last year, and they've looked more at it in selecting this squad, picking players that fit into the mindset and the culture and the character that they want to have to build this team and build their pattern and game plan in moving forward. And for them to mention that, both him and Jace Ryan, was really interesting to me.
Yeah, but also the makeup, he's already started thinking about his 23. You know, how they combat that, the guys off the bench, the makeup of that sort of, how that sort of happens, but also the style. I love also the fact they've rewarded Super Rugby form. You know, not often are you sort of sitting there thinking, the guys that missed out in the finals aren't going to get rewarded. They've done that, and there's obviously, when you look deeper into it, you know, there's a style of play they want to actually try and implement.
I do want to confirm as well that Scott Barrett is the captain of this side. He wasn't named as captain, but he is the leader, because they mentioned just there, Jipper, how quickly Scott Barrett can connect the players together. I've got a sense maybe that they are going to lean on the players a little bit more in the second year than they did in the first year. I've just got that feeling in and around. They've picked a lot of guys with leadership qualities.
Yeah, and I think the players have actually reflected on last year and wanting to take charge. You know, they've been putting some work in during when available through the Super Rugby season. And I'm with Mills. Like, I think it's great to see form, like players in form being rewarded to represent our country and the best team, and I think sometimes that can be overlooked and you sort of stick with the old, but there's definitely a lot of players playing well.
The hardest decisions were clearly loose forward and midfield, because there was so many guys who'd played really, really well. And this comes down to style. I look at Quinn Tupaia and he plays the game a certain way. Is he indicative, Marshy, of maybe how they want to play the game? Because his physicality, his directness has been a strength of his game throughout the campaign for the Chiefs.
Yeah, look, there's certainly no doubt that he brings a physical approach to that jersey, and that was massively highlighted in the final. And his work ethic is brilliant as well. I think he was up around 9 carries just before half-time. So he wants to get his hands on the ball. He's fit, he's healthy again. When he was an All Black, his potential was untapped because of that unfortunate injury. I think they've rewarded him for his great form. They obviously saw something in him prior to that injury, and they thought, righto, we know that we can tap into this player and get him playing a certain way. He's now back, he's healthy, he's fit, he's playing good rugby. He deserves to be back in that jersey so that we can see if we can get that potential out of him.
And so much of that selection, Mills, you think about Jordie Barrett's a second 5'8", Timoci Tavatavanawai is at 12 for the Highlanders. But for Jordie to come back from playing overseas, how quickly do you think they're going to go, you know what, we want you to own the 12 jersey? Yeah. How do you get these guys time, and who do you expect possibly to start?
Well, one of the things is, if Jordie's back and he's ready to go, you start him. Right, if he's your best 12, and even though he hasn't played Super Rugby, he's been playing rugby for the last 2 years or whatnot, if he's good enough to go, you're playing. Well, otherwise you're looking at sort of trying to manage him through that. But what they've done is they've got a nucleus of guys, and Tupaia's one of them, that can actually step up there and play a similar sort of style.
There's a toughness, though, it looks as though they clearly want in terms of the way players play.
They certainly do. I do think on the Jordie Barrett thing, though, he's probably best placed to start against the French. He's spent time up there. He's sort of come up against them. So I think that will probably aid his ability to be considered in that starting spot. But there is, I think, character. You mentioned it. I think even when Scott Hansen said both sides of the ball, that's where you measure character. You know, Fabian Holland, he said he's a competitive guy. Even if he's not round the ball, he's competing on something. So those little things that you don't necessarily pick up when you're watching, but if you're at the ground, you can see the whole field view is massive, and I think that will dictate who gets that opportunity in the jerseys.
2 specialist wings.
Yeah, that's interesting,
and Reece.
Isn't it, man?
Is Rieko Ioane now, Marshy, is he back in that conversation as starting on the wing for the All Blacks?
Well, with the naming of that back three, he has to be in consideration. I think Tavatavanawai as well, because they've only named Caleb Clark and Sevu Reece as out-and-out wingers. So all of a sudden, you've got this problem where Talia's gone and Narawa didn't get selected, even though he's in that injury group. You know, you have to have the ability to keep those guys on task, you know. Caleb Clark hasn't been in the most amazing form, so he's got to be under pressure by somebody for his starting spot. And so that has to be Rieko. Who else would it be?
Are you comfortable with Rieko Ioane back on the wing? Because I am 100% comfortable with the fact that he's done it so well for the All Blacks before. How comfortable can he get back into that position quickly and feel good under the high ball? Because we know that's something that's going to be coming.
That's going to be the biggest thing, is getting back into that. And when you're at the back, things are different. You have to work within a pendulum of the three and work together, rather as opposed to just yourself and your centres. And defensively too, it's a lot different task. But they have got cover. You know, they've got a few guys that are there. I mean, Ruben Lub can easily slot in on the wing. You've got Tavatavanawai. It's the makeup of that. It's how they integrate those sort of guys in there. When you look at it, I mean, only 2 wingers. You'd be thinking those are the guys that are going to start the first test.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting for me about that is the fact, though, Will Jordan clearly is our number 1 fullback. For a long time, though, and I've been talking about this recently, Ben Smith started at fullback for the All Blacks, and then he went to the wing when Beauden, Barrett, say came on and impacted the back. I want to change tack quickly, though. In terms of the loose forward combination, Sammy Penny-Finau, he's kept out of Dalton Papali'i. There are other players who have competed really well in this position. Is he the big winner right now in terms of that loose forward selection?
I think he's a player that his team got into the finals, they got to the big dance, and he performed as the games got bigger. And he probably fought his way back into this squad. And I do think he's got a different profile in terms of his height and what he offers. It's quite like for like all those other players.
Yes.
You know, they're very similar. So I think you do need that sort of difference in approach. And as a hooker, he's a very tall man. And against the French, actually winning that line-out ball will be paramount.
Yeah, I think he was in a flat-out race. I think I said it a couple of weeks ago with Ethan Blackadder for that jersey, and they had needed to decide between the two of them. I might just wonder whether Blackadder's injury problems, they want to get more rugby in him. He might come in the rugby championship. Equally, Luke Jacobson's one that I just can't figure. I need to figure out in my mind where he fits into the mix.
Is it as a number 8? He mentioned that versatility piece.
It's been a problem for us. It's like, okay, so Satiti's the only number 8 named. Jacobson can play there. Savia can play there and has done more recently. But there is no other specialist. So these are guys that'll be switching and mixing around again. I take issue with that. It does. So I would like him to say, right, we picked Luke Jacobson, and he is a number 8, or he is a blindside. He's competing for that jersey with these guys. But having the ability to play all 3, do we get the best out of formulating a trio that work together, work in synergy, know each other, know their roles, picked from week to week? Kaino, McCaw, Reid.
Yeah, that was 3 great players. I mean,
I know,
and we've got to find those great players, but you've got to give them the opportunity.
I think there is.
Yeah.
You've got guys there that you think, if you're looking at it, you're going, if you play, a Savier's a 7, right? A Savier, you've got a number 8 in Wallace Satiti, and then possibly a Finau. He's probably got the nod because he can play lock as well and try and cover that. And then you're talking about the balance of the bench, and when you look at the balance of the bench, Luke Jacobson that can cover 6, 7, and 8, and that's possibly why he's got himself in there.
We're picking dynamic players in dynamic positions. That's what we're talking about. But ultimately, let's go to the tight 5 because that's where a lot of Test matches against England, South Africa, France are won and lost. Ireland. So Ethan de Groot gets another opportunity in the All Black jersey. In terms of the competitiveness for that group, there were some young players who put up their hand through Super. For you look at the group and guys getting their opportunity, and that's where Ollie Norris comes in, taking that step up. How important is it that all of a sudden that nucleus, that tight 5, continues to perform?
Yeah, I think it's massive because it's a given when you're in those jerseys that lineouts and scrums go at 100%, and that's a prerequisite. But then again, for Norris, is probably what he's doing both sides of the ball. We know that's what they like. They picked Wallace Satiti, and that was over Hoskins Satiti last year, and they said it's work both sides of the ball. They specifically mentioned that about Norris, so he must be there or thereabouts to actually get an opportunity. But Ethan de Groot, proven, you know, like you have to think he is going to be in that one jersey. They've been pretty comfortable with de Groot, Taylor and Lomax, and I would be surprised if they went away from that.
Do you feel then that, given the modern day prop and the expectations of us, and this is obviously a back speaking, but I know the way the game's evolved, do the likes of Tossie and Ethan de Groot and Ollie Norris have the ability to do more than just hold up the scrum? Are they able to distribute? Pre-contact, they've got a defender coming at them real quick. There's a pattern there, there's a block paid, bang, bang, can shift the pass. Are they the right players for it?
I think they have to. Well, I think we definitely have one of the best in the world in Timoci Williams.
Yeah.
He is a hell of a skill set.
Yeah.
And I think Norris has the same profile and is something that they see very much like a Timoci Williams, and he can grow that part of the game. But time and space, margins for error at international rugby, you can only learn.
Yeah.
being put out there, and then we'll find out.
A lot of incumbents in this group, as we expected, Mills, and you think about where the All Blacks ended last year, where they felt as though they needed against Italy in the last Test match of the year to play a really strong group, a really vastly experienced group. Do you think maybe we might see a shift in mindset around, and we talked a little bit last night on the breakdown about it's time to start focusing on the future. When you look at this squad, is there a focus on the future for you?
Oh, I think there is. There's definitely a focus. Yeah, there's stability in terms of the guys that have been involved in the group the last sort of 12 months. I think also, I mean, we're talking about the players, but I think the coaching group, I think they've grown a lot since last year. It wasn't quite as smooth as perhaps they initially thought at this stage last year. Had a few losses, they've had to learn, they've given a bit more responsibility to their players, but they now understand it's not all fairy tales in the All Black environment, right? You've got to get things right. And Razor said it in your interview. You've got to move on. You've got to park things and move on and give that little bit of responsibility to your players because right now, it's results now and building results for the next Rugby World Cup.
There's plenty more to talk about and discuss in and around this breakdown special here. This first All Black announcement. We'll be back at the Coastal Rugby Club very, very soon. Stay with us.
Tavatavanawai, oh, just battering over the top. Tavatavanawai, outstanding try.
And the Chiefs open the second half with a try to their substitute, Ollie Norris. McAllister popping up a nice ball and both shares away. Steaming down the touchline now is McAllister.
The Rippies over the ball. Duplessis, Karipi, Hurricane strike early. Holland has a crack for Big Fabian Holland.
Big Fabian Holland, all right.
Yes, 5 new players, possible debutants up against France. There they are, Brodie McAllister, Ollie Norris, Fabian Holland, Duplessis, Karifi and Timoci Tavatavanawai. Mills, I'm going to ask you straight away. Reality is, though, once you get in the squad, the job starts. I mean, you've done all the hard work, and for Duplessis, Karifi, like they talked about on the panel, the coaches saying how hard he's worked to get there. Now it's about earning the opportunity to not just play, but to be a very good All Black, and it gets harder.
Yeah, and get in and transition straight into things. You know, you learn there's a lot of detail, and I think they're probably over-detailed last year. I think what they recognise now is they've got a system that they want to play, but you've got to pick those things up because we haven't got long, but also immerse yourself in the environment. You know, the coaches have talked about they've earned the right to be there. It's now about time to get out there and actually express yourselves. I love the way they talked about character because you do. Duplessis, Karifi, you know, he's come a long way. When you look at sort of, you know, other guys have gone, has shown a bit of resilience as well. Kuntupaya, you know, coming back from injuries. They're going for a real hardened approach, and I like that from the All Blacks at the moment.
All dynamic players as well, Marshy. You think in the way, yes, there's a physicality about them, but there's a creativity and athleticism, and particularly, I say, for the Chiefs boys, the fact that some reward for what was an impressive season.
Yeah, it was an impressive campaign, and I think a lot of you can't argue that any of those players that have been selected are not in form. And I love healthy debate, you know. And Luke Jacobson is a great player, and he's had a great season, and he's been tough. And he is tough, and he'll only get tougher being in a black jersey. So all of these are just, they're more evolving around exactly what we all want to know, don't we? How are we going to play? And you bang on, Millsy. How quickly are we going to get up to speed and be able to go out there, not be clunky, be in rhythm against what will be a very tough nut to crack in this French series to try and beat them 3-0 won't be easy.
Jipper, when you look at those 5 players, though, are they players that can move the needle if they continue to grow the way they have grown into this opportunity?
I think that's the beauty of the All Blacks 15 because it's not going to be such a heightened jump because they've all had time in the All Blacks environment except for maybe Ollie Norris. And I think because of that time, they're not coming in like fresh. Like they've actually probably found their feet in their, you know, in terms of the training standards and the expectations. They've all obviously made, you know, every poster winner when they've been in those training stations. So now I do think, you know, for the bulk of them, you know, they will be looked at to play.
Is some of that impact going to be off the bench? Because as we know, Mills, the last 20 minutes of every game, we saw it through Super Rugby, we've seen it through international rugby in the bigger stages. The bench is just as critical as the team that starts.
Oh, 100% so. But you know, what are they going to offer off the bench? Is there going to be a varied sort of bench? Do they go a 6-2 sort of split depending on who we sort of play? Because I think we've got the players to be able to match that 6-2, or would we go to just status quo? But I also think, Coming back to your point, Marshy, you've got to be picking players that are specialists first and foremost. And then I think that's where you get a little bit of them moving around with guys off the bench and what they can cover, not necessarily going in there thinking, hey, they can cover everything before you come back to your first spot. Yeah,
and that's the big part of getting that rhythm and avoiding that clunkiness I'm talking about. 9-10 combination, what's that going to look like? And you need that because you also need goal kicking. It's really only 3 goal kickers in that squad. If you count Ruben, Love, McKenzie and Beauden, then that's a big part of accumulating points, getting rhythm. So experimentation comes at some cost, doesn't it? Because it brings in a different dynamic, different players and different picture. So how consistent are they going to be in this series so that when they get to their next opposition, which is South Africa, back-to-back world champions, they're firing?
Are we hopeful the fact that we're going to see them in the first or second test, these debutants, rather than waiting until the third, maybe if the series is comfortable? Now, I'm not saying this is going to be a comfortable series, but for me, are you hopeful we see them under a different type of pressure where there is expectation? Yeah,
look, I think based on what they just said, the coaches there, I feel like they are going to pick on form, and a lot of these guys are in form. Like Kirifi, I think he is so physically dominant. I don't see how he doesn't play in the first test. Fabian Holland is another one. They're singing their praises, and I think they can make an impact. And that's what I mean. Like the system and the pathway has set them up to actually achieve and succeed in their first crack.
Well, he's getting his second crack with the All Blacks this season. Scott Robertson joins us from the Coastal Rugby Club. Thanks for joining us, mate. It's Goldie here. Look, first and foremost, I want to ask you, over someone who knows about playoff rugby, and you know about the playoffs, over the last 3 weeks, were there players who played their way into your squad?
Yeah, thanks, guys. Great to come in from Coastal. It's been awesome here, awesome day. I tell you what, you earn your percentages as a goal kicker here, mate, that Wesley that comes in. But it's, look, because the last three games, you're watching it from a casualty ward, but you're also watching guys that can step up and rise to the challenge at finals. Like test matches, some people just step up naturally to it, do their jobs and a bit more. So look, it always comes down to the last night and a few scans as well.
G'day Razor, James Parsons here, mate. Congrats on the first squad naming this year. Obviously a lot of interest in an area I know you're fond of in the loose forward trio. You've gone with 5. How impressed were you with Adi Savea's, I suppose, hybrid role between open side flanker and number 8 for Moana Pacifica on what was such a fantastic season? And do you see him playing a similar role? Yeah, he can play great in both spots. Obviously, mentioned many times before, he's been a world player at number 8. His ability off the back of the scrum, but he can play on the side. Just his involvement's where you can get the best out of him. We're 7 on the scrum or the back of the line, but around the field, where do we use him? Do we use him on the edge? Do we use him in the middle? That's just as important, the structure that you play. But, it's a great balance between him and Du Plessis, isn't it? Both great over the ball, both ball carriers and can stop a game. And it's tracked by big turnovers and high self-control.
Razor, Marshy here. Congratulations on your side. I know it'll be exciting for you. The work starts now, which I know you'll be looking forward to. Wanted to ask you about the back 3. Only 2 specialist wingers being picked. So are you considering Rico as a winger as well? And equally, Will Jordan's had some knocks recently. He's carrying a knee. And he's had some head knocks in the last couple of years. He's the only specialist fullback, or do you see Ruben Love as a specialist fullback?
Yeah, I think you do all 3 of them. So from Beauden, D-Mac, Ruben and Will can cover the wing. And, obviously Rico can play on the wing as well. Jordan cover fullback. We've got lots of mix. We wanted to make sure we get the utility factor out of as well. Pick list 33 so we can add 3 more. We're in New Zealand. We learnt last year that, the guys that come in and help and train with you are genuinely available as you go along, but get reps into these guys. Give Ruben Love an opportunity to have plenty of time training at fullback and at 10, and that's why we've done the balance of the squad. There's some good utility factor, but there's also a great starting, 23 we talk about now. 23 takes to win a test, as we know.
Right, so it's Millsy here. Hey, just echoing what the other lads have said about your test team, your squad. Well done, mate. I want to ask you, you've got some world-class 10s, and when you look at this squad, 11 Chiefs, does that sort of influence the way you go for your first test against France and picking a Damien McKenzie as your driver?
Yeah, look, we're going to play fast. It's pretty clear when you get under the roof. We want to keep the ball in hand. That's when we're at our best, and all those guys are highly skilled. The skill set at the line, the ability to play around teams, but also to go through teams. We know Test football, you've got to adapt and change. It's got a high skill set with all of them, and that's exciting. But, look at all our teams this year have played fast, high metrics, high ball and play. We've got some incredible tries being scored, but also great defensive efforts. I pick on both sides of the ball, and that's how the balance of the squad ended up.
Rose, I just want to ask you about the two replacement players, Amoni Arawa and Christian Leo Willie. They've come in to train as cover. Are they available for selection? You just talked about players being around New Zealand. Are they available for this 3-test series against France? And can you just give us an update on some of the injured guys and how far away is a Peter Larkai, for example, of being available for you?
There's a good list. That's what I was talking about scans earlier. So Peter Larkai, he's sort of 4 to 6 weeks away, which is, tough for him. He was in great form. We've got Christian obviously coming in. Luke had a head knock, so his availability for the first test, and that's why Christian's come in, and he'll be available to be selected. And Amoni will come in as well, because we've got, with Anton's shoulder, it's 12 weeks on the first test, which he's medically cleared, from the surgeon to be able to play. So we brought those guys in, and yes, they're definitely available to pick. Is there anyone else you want to cover off?
One last question before we let you go, champ. Don't worry about that. You mentioned you want to play fast. Equally, that that the Northern Hemisphere teams and South Africa have been very, very good at narrowing the field with their blitz defence and cutting off the ability for teams to play, including us. Do you feel, with the midfielders that you've picked, you've got players that can distribute, because you've not picked a David Harvili, and find that space? Are you confident in that, and you can implement that game plan you want to play?
Yeah, of course. Like, they're highly skilled. We're always growing yourself. You're always improving, Marshy. But the balance of the squad, the power game that you need, as I mentioned, but also the skill set to go round teams. Like, the ball and play's higher, you're scrummaging, line out. We know how quick the transitions, rugby transitions have got much quicker, which suits us well. We're highly fit. We're not playing Super Rugby. You want to get mixed up with that. We're still playing Test footy, because set pieces, everything, as you know, can turn the game pretty quickly on it. So we've got highly skilled tight five, and also the ability for it to play on the edge, as we talked about, our loose forwards that have got the skill set to do that. So good balanced squad, great young players to come through that we're looking forward to playing this series.
Thanks, Razor. Really appreciate it. Congratulations once again. Looking forward to seeing what happens when we get to that first test down in Dunedin. Prepare well, and we'll see you down south.
Yeah, cheers, man. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Playing fast. Set piece, though, it's got to be 100%. Like you start talking about these things, this is not easy to piece together when you start playing against the top sides, but it doesn't get easy when you've had very little time to prepare, Marshy. France they've had a game together. They played on the last weekend. You look at this, how ready should they be for the first game?
Well, physically, I think they'll be ready, because, like, the Super Rugby final showed that was as close to test match intensity as you can get, and quite a number, you would imagine, of those players that are involved in that final will probably be playing that first test. Don't have too many worries about that. They wouldn't have experienced the type of line speed France are going to bring. We don't defend like that in Super Rugby. So that's going to be the challenge. That's how quickly they're going to have to get into camp, introduce the players who have been involved in the final and the playoffs that haven't been in Tauranga with the other group, and get that game plan going. That's what interests me. It's going to be hard work to do that really quickly.
Let's head back to Coastal Rugby Club, because this player was rolling his shoulders there as he was putting on the headset and the Mike Duplessis Kirifi. It's Goldie here, mate. Congratulations. It's like you're warming up already. You're ready to go. When you got named, where were you? Who told you? How did it feel?
Yeah, hey guys, cheers. I was just at home getting ready to watch my partner play netball and got the call from Razor. So yeah, pretty special moment, and I guess very lucky to make some cool phone calls after that to mum and dad and my partner. So yeah, special day yesterday.
G'day Dupes, James Parsons here, mate. Congratulations. I know you've been waiting a long time for this call-up. Absolutely stoked for you. At the start of the Super Rugby season, what were the messages the All Black coaches gave you to show them to get this reward?
Just to be more consistent. Be consistent, be a reliable teammate, and someone who's physical both sides of the ball. So, pretty simple, I guess, and just try to be as effective as possible as the weeks went on. And, I could say, pretty proud of my season.
Dupes, Marshy here. I just have to reiterate, congratulations.
Marshy.
You've worked hard, and the way that you've gone about changing your game and evolving, and the performances this year, you thoroughly deserve it. So well done there. I just want to ask you about when they talk to you. They do talk a lot about players that can play multiple positions. For you, is that just 7? That's your role, that's your focus. You go in there and you fit into that environment and you put pressure on to be out there starting a test match.
Yeah, well, I think, as soon as you step into the environment, everyone's got to be, flexible and be able to, wear a couple of hats. Obviously, some would say I'm a specialist 7, but if they ask me to play any other position, bro, I'll put my hand up and do that the best of my ability. But yeah, you're right. Look, you look at some of the boys that have made the squad, and we've got locks that can play loosey, we've got loosies that can cover lock. So there's a lot of versatility there. And if I need to be versatile as well, then I'll do that to the best of my ability.
Dupes, well done, mate. Congratulations. It's Millsy here. Hey, I just want to ask, because
Cheers, Mills.
They've spoken about where you've come and sort of how hard you've worked. But you look at the 12 months, and it's easy for them to talk to you and sort of say these are the things you focus on. But you still had to take on the responsibility of captaining a side. What did you prioritise when you look back 12 months? What did you prioritise to make sure that you sort of nailed every moment, which you did this year, bro?
Cheers, Mills. Pretty simple from my end. It wasn't just me leading the Canes. Suffs, Brad and Bills were there, so the workload was well shared and well supported. We supported each other to be better each week, as well as lead the team. And from my perspective, I just tried to keep it as simple as possible and just start the season, I guess, the way that I finished 2024, which was, like I said earlier, being really consistent and reliable. And a couple of specifics from the coaches, but at the end of the day, all I wanted to do for the Hurricanes each week this year was just go out and put my hand up as someone that my teammates could rely on and someone that could have an impact on the game positively.
Dupes, congratulations once again. We can't wait to see you pull on that All Black jersey. Well done.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Now, you think about what's coming up. It's live exclusive here on Sky. This French series, this French 3-match series. We've got the Lions as well. We've got, obviously, the Rugby Championship. We've got a Rugby World Cup for the Black Ferns. It is all here on Sky. We've got more to chat about after the break. Stay with us.
The countdown is on. France against the All Blacks. France is so unpredictable. You just simply don't know which team will turn up. And Severin scores in the corner for the All Blacks. All Blacks on fire.
All live and exclusive on Sky, and here is your All Black squad for 2025. Here is the forward pack. James Parsons is happy. I can tell deep down he's got faith in this group. Brodie McAllister, Ollie Norris, Fabian Holland and Duplessis Kirifi, the newbies, the new boys into the All Black squad. And if you have a look at the backs, here they are, just one new player there. Timoci Tavatavanawai joins the vastly experienced and talented back division. Anton Leonard-Brown recovering from a collarbone injury. He will be ready maybe week 2, week 3, but there's plenty for us to look forward to, and it's time now to go to Laura, who's standing by with a couple of debutants, a couple of Highlanders, Fabian Holland and Timoci Tavatavanawai.
I've got two gentlemen with me that I know Jeff Wilson will be very happy about. Highlanders debutants. Congratulations, lads. That is so exciting. A massive couple of days for you, I'm sure. When did you find out?
Yeah, so I found out about yesterday. I got a call from Razor. I was going to go out for breakfast to see my foster family with my mum and my brother. My mum flew over from the Netherlands coincidentally, and then as I was just about to sit on the couch, I got a phone call, and then from there on, I I'm pretty sure I blacked out for a wee bit, and then the only thing I could really say to Razor was, I'm just speechless, mate. And he's like, I'll see you up in the Neki tomorrow, but congratulations. And and then after that it was really emotional, having all my family there and calling my old man and my sister back home. So it was pretty special.
Yeah, perfect timing to have them here with you. And when did so you found out yesterday, who was with you? How did it go down for you?
I was just by myself. Missed a call at the start, then I saw the message and I had to call Razor back. I was just by myself doing some gardening at home. Then messaged my missus, who was working at the moment, and she's trying to leave work, and I told her just to stay at work. We'll see each other after that. Then made a call to my family that look after me here in New Zealand. So I called them, then catch up with them with a coffee. Then it was pretty awesome.
When you're an athlete, you sacrifice a lot of things, right? And you've made your sacrifices to get to this point. How worth it does it feel right now? When you got that call, when you got the news, you're officially, you're part of the All Black squad. What does that mean to you?
It means everything. I think. I left when I was 16. My brother and sister were both 13. So, and I've been here for 6 years now. So you miss a pretty crucial time of their growing up, and it was it was very hard. COVID hit in the meanwhile as well. So, and then to all that sacrifice comes over to this moment is pretty special. So. I think that's what all the emotion was about as soon as I heard it, and I think that's why Mum pretty much straight away jumped in my arms. So it was very emotional.
I bet it was. With both you gents. I want to thank you so much. Congratulations, and we look forward to watching the series against France.
Cheers. Thank you.
Sometimes it's about taking an opportunity from both of those players. That's what it's been. What a story for Fabian Holland to come to New Zealand, and for Timoci Tavatavanawai to head south and take the leadership responsibilities. It's now up to them when they get their opportunity, like a Duplessis Kirifi. Let's look forward, because France is literally just around the corner. 12 days before they play a test match, Mills. In terms of preparing for that, there are some pivotal decisions they have to make and critical decisions about who's going to play where. But I think we might get a sense already how they want to play.
Yeah, 100%. He's really said it. They want to play fast. They want to dent the line. So there's a bit of innovation around what they do there, but flexibility as well, depending on the opposition. They'll have their 23 already. They'll know that. So it's just will be about gluing them together and making sure they understand their roles.
The thing with Fabian Gaultier is he's got a really consistent squad that he's utilised in the time that he's been coach. They're a side that knows each other really, really well. They've got massive depth. So they're going to be very well organised and very well drilled. So the challenge for the All Blacks, as we've already mentioned, is for them to get into rhythm as quickly as they can. It does help that they'll have a good idea on what that 23 looks like and who's going to be pulling the triggers in key positions. Yeah,
I think it is pretty straightforward. They're going to go direct, but I do agree with you around that rush, D, and making sure that we're not fixated on just doing one way, and those little nifty kicks in behind it, using our kicking game a little bit to slow that line speed will be crucial, because I think you've got a motivated French side. The word coming through the players is they all want to be here and they want to make a statement.
Since when can we take France for granted?
Oh, mate.
I mean,
and not only that, it's the ultimate for them to come to New Zealand. As rugby players, they see the All Blacks as their biggest scalp, and then you put on that in New Zealand. Any French player, you ask them when they're growing up, I want to play the All Blacks in New Zealand, they will be motivated.
And you think about the nature of these contests and the way they have been, and it's not like the past, the fact where they're not consistent. They are consistent. Yeah. They've been one of the best teams in world rugby, Mills, for a number of years now.
Yeah, and a lot better at travelling these days as well. I mean, there was a stint there where they weren't. Now they have. You talked about that consistency, even sending your so-called sort of understrength sides over to Southern Hemisphere. They haven't got that anymore. They've built some real depth. They understand that, and like you said, Marshy, they will be pumped to come down here to New Zealand and try and beat the All Blacks. Yeah,
it's exciting. It's exciting for the All Blacks. I think it's really important for this group, for Razor's team, for us to see straight away them perform. And it'll set them up confidently for the rest of the season because, man, they've got some challenges. It is a tough calendar again for Scott Robertson and the All Blacks.
And we've seen what's happened over the last couple of weeks when it's been high pressure in terms of the playoffs for Super Rugby. Has that actually prepared this group well? The fact the number of players have had to go to the well because they've had to go to the well when the Blues took on the Chiefs, when the Chiefs took on the Crusaders. They were significant contests.
I think that final series has perfectly, given them the platform to come in and perform, and probably the players that were in that have had the best opportunity to put their hands up to be selected in that 23. I don't think you want too much surprise in that first 23. You want the best players that are in current form right now taking that challenge.
Is this still the game doesn't change, though, for you? Is it still won or lost up front?
I think at international level, up front, but also your kicking game, like making sure you're playing in the right parts of the field and you're getting that balance of your attack right. And the one thing with the French is they have an amazing ability to skin you in many different ways, and they will read the defence and pull trigger. So it's making sure that we do cover all parts of the field.
It's funny to say that because that's the documentary that's up on your show. They're talking about Back from the End of the World, which I've gone back and looked at 1994 when they came and won a series here for the very, very first time. We've got a season in front of us, Mills. If you think about everything that's coming on, we've got South Africa, you've got the Rugby Championship. For this All Black team, you've got the Lions. Man, it's all on. I mean, in terms of the season, Super Rugby's just finished and we've just got to look forward, right?
I've gone up like there now. You're right. It's just finished. But now, man, how excited are we to get... It's going to be a massive year for the All Blacks. The Lions across the ditch too. I can't wait.
Thanks, Marshy. Thanks very much, Mills. Thanks, Jipper. Thanks to everyone at the Coastal Rugby Club, David Kirk and Scott Robertson. Thanks for joining us on this breakdown special. Let's bring on an All Black season. We will see you in 12 days at Dunedin.
As international rugby opponents go, France is the most unpredictable, the most likely to produce a performance that confounds previous form. The All Blacks have discovered this before. And it isn't. And the French have claimed a famous victory here in Cameron. Xavier gets it back on the inside. Dang!
Power, raw determination and power.